Okay, okay, Mr. 2021, 2022 version of Anonymous. Jesus, chill.
How many times do I have to put on this deep voice?
For you to understand that I'm a Giga-Chad. Oh fuck, my voice changing software broke. Hold on.
There. Now, as I was saying, pedophiles are bad.
I could not agree more, my friends.
Oh my god.
All of your wise words.
This might be one of the most cringe videos I've ever seen in my entire life. Pick a side YouTube. Is this the real one? Okay. Why would you link me the response video, you dumb fuck? Jesus, this looks so dramatic. All right, good luck.
On November 26, 2021,
Oh, it is
my
dramatic.
good friend Max published a video exposing the colossal pedo ring that is IMVU, where he uncovered one particularly inveterate child predator, known in-game as Pablo Sunny, a pedophile with an extensive history of grooming multiple teenage girls. And to no one's surprise, YouTube tore it down like none of it ever happened. The fickle thing about it, though, is that the video was cut and censored in accordance with the community guidelines, manually reviewed by your staff in order for the family-friendly shell that remained to be available on your platform, even if age-restricted. I myself have personally seen the entire video, and there is
Okay. I'm trying to think of this without bullying. Why does it seem like there is a certain YouTuber cadence, but the voice is like very weird? Do you guys know what I'm talking? Is it the guy that did the Burger King foot lettuce and everything he talks about? And he actually sounds like this the entire video. Now this guy isn't quite as bad, but it sounds a little bit like, what is happening? Why? What is this? Where is this coming from?
not one timestamp you can find that does anything even remotely illicit, especially compared to the categorical obscenities that already plague YouTube. And for what? Because of the bare ass of a virtual character. Is this a joke? Max documenting this formerly unknown behavior in a 90-minute documentary about the horrors of pedophilia and child sexual abuse in IMVU is somehow sexually gratifying to you? Everything was perfectly fine for the first half-fucking-million people who watched it, but the very second Team YouTube watches it. Interesting. We tried resolving it with you peacefully, but you were unwilling to budge like the apologist you allegedly are. And Max has had enough.
Oh no.
Just fucking kidding.
Wait, what?
Just fucking kidding.
What is happening? Chills, chilled, chill. Why is everybody saying chills? It's like a deeper version of chills? What is chills? That guy got on Adult Swim? Where? What is this? Hold on.
Number 15. Could I get the number 15?
Oh.
Number 15. Could
This guy. Jesus Christ.
How many bloody times do we have to do this dance? You fuck with us, we fuck with you, and history repeats itself. Whether it's intentional
Okay, Mr. 2021, 2022 version of Anonymous. Jesus, chill.
or not, you endlessly punish those of us who create content in response to injustice.
You want to be ninja? You want to be ninja? Give that to your ninja friends.
Speaking up for victims like children and pursuing the perpetrators like pedophiles. It is volatile, intense, disturbing, upsetting, raw, and real. because that is the subject matter it is covering, and that is the way it should be covered. As my audience, many of whom are CSA survivors, have instructed me to do. But no matter how vital the video may be to them, you take down our shit and continue to help absolutely no one besides the evil people we are trying to expose.
Oh my god!
The survivors continue to scream in agonizing silence. But maybe that's the way you like it. I will let my colleagues take a more measured and balanced approach to this discussion. And despite all of
It's the Doomslayer, true.
personalities you're about to see, you'll notice that there's one thing that does bring us all together. We don't like pedophiles. Something you don't seem to see eye to eye with us on.
Okay.
Do you want to move here instead? Or
Why? What's wrong with your other thing? Is it getting fucked?
no, I'm just, if we're building two bases, might as well consolidate, right?
If you want to. I'm just collecting scrap from here. We can go. I can go over the other one next, but that other place seemed pretty busy. And there's a ton of barrels.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, it's way busier than here, it seems. I just keep it both in case one gets fucked. The other one's gonna be a backup.
Yeah.
Should get a code lock door though.
YouTube messes with me all the time. I remember one time I got 3 strikes, they banned me. I appealed the ban, I said, hey, this is unfair, and they said nope, they rejected my appeal. I've learned a long time ago you simply cannot trust Google. They still delete my videos to this day. And I really hate saying it, but I don't have pride in YouTube anymore. The amount of censorship is completely disheartening, especially when people need to see this.
Do you need a horse?
If there's something that the internet has shown us time and time again in regards to independent investigations, it's that the average person can notice something that an investigator might miss the first or second time. And as such, investigative content should really be encouraged.
YouTube is clearly delusional at this point, censoring us all and blatantly ignoring the good that comes from heavily investigated content. The awareness that spreads from such videos are immense. Is that not a good thing though? It honestly feels like YouTube is trying to protect these up people, and that's not okay. This is why we've got to step in.
Personally, I don't think YouTube ever cared about any of us.
There's a guy cruising
They only
around in
care
a
if you're one
car.
of their poster
Yeah, he's
childs,
looking for
but
Dan
most
or
importantly,
something.
you have to be incredibly ad-friendly. Even when 100% innocent channels are getting completely destroyed. I've dealt with it myself multiple times.
90% of the issues with YouTube could be resolved if Google just hired a team of real people to look over and see what's actually being done than what's just being reported. On YouTube, you're basically guilty until proven innocent. And people know this. My Dan Schneider video got 2 takedown requests, but I know of other smaller YouTubers who have talked about the whole Dan Schneider thing, and their shit got taken down because they were small channels and because they couldn't fight back.
You know, YouTube was actually a place for people to create back in the day. I mean, actually hire people to review and moderate videos, not auto-moderated robots. You know, I don't need like fucking R2-D2 over here telling me that my info or any other creator's info isn't valuable to a cause when there's actual victims on the line.
Every single day we can see exploitative content trending on YouTube. Content such as family channel content that takes advantage of children. On the other hand, we have investigative content that is not only pushed back by the algorithm, not only demonetized, but actively hidden from subscribers who signed up to see that content. And this is a problem.
It feels like YouTube is constantly punishing the wrong people on its platform. I mean, this is something that I experienced with my fake animal rescue investigation. When all of a sudden my videos started getting age restrictions, and then I started to receive community.
Do you guys remember when Alicia's channel got axed by Twitch for a week, I think, because she was covering the kitten mill place or whatever? I think she got, didn't she get banned from, did she ever get unbanned for that? Or was it just like they gave her a week ban and they never like, that was crazy.
Community guideline warnings, which basically told me that if I kept making that content, then YouTube would have removed my channel. And what made it so much more frustrating was the fact that these channels that I was exposing just continued on fully monetized and not receiving
How far do
any
you have to
form of
be?
punishment. Out of all those people that I exposed, the first person to get punished was me. But as upsetting as that situation was, what's happening here with Max's video is something that I find even more concerning. I mean, age restriction is one thing, but to have your video removed completely with no justification and with no chance to appeal it is something that shouldn't happen under any circumstances. I mean, it really is a shame because those who are on here exposing predators and doing so in a fair and responsible way, just like Max was, deserve to have a platform here and deserve to be celebrated for the work they're doing. And yet all too often it's YouTube who's taking action against these creators. And when they do that, they are not only actively siding with these predators, but they are actively protecting them as well.
YouTube likes to put on this front that they care about their creators, when anybody who's worked in the platform knows it's complete bullshit. The only thing they care about is making money. And if you're seen as a little bit unmarketable or a little bit edgy, you're completely screwed. It doesn't matter if you actually are. The thought of you maybe being that is enough to get you completely screwed. And so what ends up happening is they end up censoring these really important things, like people raising awareness or people investigating things or trying to expose things. They end up...
How many times do I have to put on this deep voice?
For you to understand that I'm a GigaChad. Oh fuck, my voice changing software broke. Hold on.
There. Now, as I was saying, pedophiles are bad.
Good one.
Censoring them because they're a little bit dark. Imagine outlets not publishing stories or exposés or really hard-hitting things because the subject matter was sensitive. It's just so ridiculous to think about. YouTube pretends to care about their creators when they don't.
The overall problem with YouTube is that it cares more for its public appearance than it does for those who actually make the platform work. Content creators, especially those who focus on investigative reporting, are very often either heavily censored or flat out removed from the website if we, for lack of a better words, get too loud. If we know our place and don't shine a light on the elephant in the room, we are safe. But if we actually do our job, then we are punished.
You know, when we look at YouTube's policies, some of the content that I was making specifically did cover upon people that were actually predatory towards underage people on the internet. And that's a big problem. It's a reality. Whether you go on YouTube, whether you go on Facebook, whether you go on Discord, whether you go on any platform, there's always creepy adults who are willing to use their power and advantage to overpower actual underage individuals. And that's disgusting, and it's actually really sick. And the problem that we have on YouTube is even if you follow all the rules and all the guidelines and you blur every single thing imaginable, you're still potentially facing some level of a privacy guideline strike. I don't know how it gets handled. Sometimes they go through, sometimes they don't. But even if you attempt to follow every single rule, it seems as though that many of these sites tend to favor and protect a lot of these individuals, even if it is unintentionally. Hell, just look at some of these harassment guidelines. If you even leak out or potentially mention somebody else, you could... It's such a vague terms of service that...
Do you think these people ever even consider contacting any authorities about the people that post videos about? The problem is usually there's not any laws broken, and a lot of the times with this type of investigative shit, people aren't even really discovering anything like noteworthy. They're just like
bringing a friend in for us,
finding a few coincidences. It's not really enough to convict anybody on or anything like that. I think that's like the problem we run into a lot. Now that being said, I haven't seen this particular investigation, so maybe something more concrete was discovered. But basically this whole video, I sympathize with the video's complaints, but the complaints have nothing to do about predators or protecting predators. The issue with this video has to do with YouTube's fucking automated bullshit with how they deal with everything. It's like, yeah, basically making it so that roof and a roof triangle. Trying to automate the fuck out of every single process means that the moderation is going to be fucking ass, and I think everybody knows this, and it's really irritating, but there's nothing you can really do about it. What? Wait, is there not another type of roof? I thought there was like a certain type of roof that...
What kind of roof are you thinking about?
I'm trying to make the corners line up.
Fuck that bungalow shit, man. Just make a floor.
What?
Who knows? Somebody may potentially take advantage of it and use it to strike your channel. It feels as though every time you actually try to bring light to something disgusting like this and have it potentially investigated and shut down,
it'll connect, just
you're
place
the
them
bad
both.
guy,
Nice.
Okay? So really, it restricts a lot of people from putting their effort into it. And unfortunately, it feels as though the system is geared against people trying to do actual good, and it seems like the people who are actually the malicious and fucked up people in nature are the ones that may unintentionally get protected with all these new guidelines and privacy issues and all that. But generally, that's the way that I feel about it. I literally had to stop making content because it feels like I was the one being targeted by the lords above, if you will.
I am an investigative journalist, and if YouTube takes that away from me, how am I going to be able to take care of my cat? You'd be taking food out of the mouths of hardworking individuals and putting it into the mouths of pedophiles.
YouTube has never really given a shit about investigative journalism content. I think that's really a given. While YouTube in recent years has tried to be a squeaky clean company that not many people could be offended by, investigative journalism inherently goes into topics that are controversial or require a lot of depth to get into. It doesn't really matter if these investigative pieces could actually help real law enforcement with actual crimes, which is why some small investigative journalism channels are being taken down, because YouTube thinks people won't notice. We need to show them that we do, and that if they continue to do it, it's going to look bad on them as a company for all of us.
What worries me about the state of YouTube isn't just how it seems to prioritize mainstream media over investigative journalism or independent journalism, but also how it takes these concepts that it uses to soft censor commentators and it applies it to the rest of YouTube. Just as a film analyst and reviewer myself, there's a lot of censoring that I have to do on my own channel. I love the platform of YouTube, but I don't feel like it supports my own free speech, and I think that a lot of discussions are stifled because we creators feel like there are just things that we cannot talk about. This is how we've been conditioned.
I definitely don't think it's great that YouTube sometimes removes content that exposes pedophiles and animal abusers. I understand that YouTube has strict advertisement guidelines, but a lot of dark content creators and investigative channels are truly facing negative repercussions. Hopefully YouTube is willing to work on this sensitive issue and make changes that are better for the community.
My name is Jay Boston. I've been a voice actor for MamaMax for a couple of years at this point. With the takedown of his most recent video, you can't really help but begin to theorize that although the method of delivery is unique, it still acts as this campaign of awareness against individuals on the internet that are engaging in felonious acts such as pedophilia and grooming. And with YouTube's consistent censorship and suppression
hold on. So first of all, pedophilia is not an act, I don't think. Also, what is grooming technically illegal? Is there like a charge for grooming, or is it like sexual assault with grooming, or what is that even like? I'm only asking because you said felonious acts. I don't know if there's like a criminal charge for grooming. I know that's how we describe an adult courting a minor. Oh fuck me.
You can't help but ask the question, why?
Child grooming is a federal crime? What does child grooming mean? It seems like it would be really hard to prove, like for a federal crime. Criminal penalties for grooming. If you're convicted of unlawful grooming, it's a class 3 felony. Oh, it must be a thing. Interesting.
Who tries to bring more attention to sensitive and dark subjects in the online realm. I also feel neglected and let down by YouTube. Max is one of many creators on the platform that supports YouTube in their quest to fight against the exploit of minors. YouTube is doing themselves no favor by striking and deleting content, exposing the same problem they are trying to fix. Max's videos contain months of work to collect as much evidence as possible. YouTube thanks him by making his life as hard as possible by not communicating, deleting his videos, and striking his channel.
So MamaMax, he hit me up and he's like, look, I'm doing this video, do you want to be a part of it? And I thought, you know what, actually I do, because he's right in what he's saying. With his work, obviously it's investigations into very dark territory, people that are abusing kids. It's very important to put that out there and show the world what's going on. You would think if YouTube was staying to its original ethos, that YouTube will be a great place to do that, show the world where otherwise this kind of information might not get out there. Now what they're doing is they're trying to censor stuff that is kind of a little bit dark, a little bit edgy, because it doesn't really line up with their advertisers. So the same thing has happened to me with my platform, Popular Front, independent conflict reporting. We go to wars, we show the world what is going on, and it's completely independent. Our whole channel has been demonetized. They've put some of our documentaries up behind this weird warning saying that the content is considered offensive. Like, what is offensive about documenting war crimes? Okay, it might not be palatable for your advertisers, but it's very important work. It needs to be out there. So I think what MamaMax is saying is definitely right. YouTube needs to stop doing this, or they need to really be honest about what it is. Do they just want content that is good for their advertisers, that they can say, yeah, this is all nicey, nanny state type stuff? Or do they want to stick to the original plan of, yeah, anyone can use this platform to kind of put information out there? I don't know, it's a real problem, and I'm glad MamaMax is drawing attention to it. Hopefully YouTube will listen. I doubt they will, but who knows?
You know, YouTube likes to pride themselves on being this big platform where any creator can make it for any kind of genre they want to, but at the end of the day, it's like if you're going to do any kind of investigative journalism, you're going to have a rough time. Because when it comes down to it, the big corporations, they have way more leeway on what they can cover compared to you. I've had videos that have been age restricted and demonetized because of the topics I'm talking about, but then you see the mainstream news where their clips are on the trending front page and they're talking about that same thing. And that shit's fucked up, honestly. That shit really pisses me off.
True.
Because it's like, why are they giving all this leeway to the big corporations, but then when it comes down to the smaller creators that make up the entire platform, oh, they're not allowed to talk about it, you know?
YouTube, you don't need to protect pedophiles, you don't need to protect animal abusers. These are bad people. Society has deemed them as bad people. We are allowed to believe them.
You haven't read a
YouTube,
book since high school.
Please let us believe
Go
bad
to a
people.
library and check out a
Censorship
book.
bad, pedophiles bad, animal abusers bad. That's my take.
We do what we do to alert the public, warn the innocent, spread the word. But YouTube seems to punish the heroes
What is this
reward
all?
the villains cowering behind their screen. Whose side are you on, YouTube?
YouTube taking down this kind of content reminds me of what a lot of people refer to as toxic positivity, pretending that everything is fine and avoiding the problem head-on. They've also started doing this with basic criticism on the platform, such as removing dislikes and making it a lot harder to comment on mobile, which coincidentally is the device most people use when engaging with their site. When we lose the ability to critique, we lose the ability to improve.
Yeah, I think what's given most people, you know, the idea, and me included, that YouTube doesn't really care so much is that it keeps moving the goalposts of what it wants on the site and what's acceptable nowadays. You know, it seems that like what you put up on a Monday will get you in the crapper by Friday.
It's hard being a commentator or an investigative creator on the platform of YouTube a lot of the time, because I think, to be honest, YouTube have made it pretty clear they're not really big fans of our presence, and honestly they just would like the world without the drama. But at the end of the day, when people are being exploited, I think there needs to be a point where creators exist, and I think we do a pretty good job in that regard. It's just YouTube don't really want us there to do it.
If we weren't able to investigate things like Chris Hansen, Onision, EDP, a lot of the very positive impacts would just be void. They wouldn't even exist, because a lot of this stuff just gets swept along to the wayside. Now, I know that there's some people who do take advantage of this system, but I genuinely believe that the good outweighs the bad. And if we're no longer able to investigate stuff like this, it's going to be a net loss for the entire community.
Easily the most frustrating thing for me personally has been issues with YouTube's privacy complaint system. YouTube has a system in place to allow private figures to request retractions on public YouTube videos if they feel information about them, like their identity, has been compromised by that video. Information that deserves to be private. In theory, this seems like a good idea, but in practice, this allows some bad actors to silence criticism. About half a year ago, I posted a video about an individual who I would love to name, who spent his time being a sex pest in people's messages by, well, there's really no way to put this nicely, sending pictures of himself wearing a diaper in women's DMs. So, I posted a 17-minute breakdown of who he is. Keep in mind, I censored all of his private info for his own safety, while still telling the story accurately. He created his own thread on gossip forums in order to humiliate himself, and even posted his full name and address. I merely talked about the fact that he did this, and was punished. YouTube allowed this person to abuse the privacy system multiple times to get the video taken down. But I can't help but find it funny that YouTube took down my video claiming that I was engaging in violating this guy's privacy and is later harassing him when he was the one who brought it all on himself in the first place, and intentionally. Embarrassing.
There he is.
I've been Turkey Tom. Bye.
It pains me to say YouTube has garnered a reputation for leaving their own creators in the dark when it comes to imposing important rules and regulations. Guidelines against harassment are a good thing, but how are investigative creators meant to follow them when the language used is so intentionally vague? I'm tired of pouring hours of work into a video only for it to be demonetized and age restricted with little to no helpful explanation. How are we supposed to know what to avoid if we don't know what we're doing wrong?
YouTube has slowly been more restrictive in terms of content creators, trying to tell stories of bad actors within communities. Content is the hardest to deal with, as a lot of what might be discussed has to be censored. For example, a History Channel might want to cover World War II, but to absolutely make sure they get that green mark, they might have to change a few things in the wording. Such as, the main bad guy of the Second Big War unalived himself when he lost. And this becomes a lot harder for channels that cover recent awful individuals, that commit acts like, and even, and with YouTube's current system, the person being covered, if still out there, has an easier time taking down the video even if it has evidence, and the YouTuber is careful with wording as to not end up in court when covering the story.
It is very unfortunate that as the clock ticks and YouTube grows older, exchanging...
Why do some people use like this avatar thing? I don't, or this not avatar. This lady is an avatar. I don't understand it. What is the? Who is this person? Is this the? I don't know who this is.
Legitimize their website in the first place, while they let corporations run around.
Okay, YouTube's here. Okay, I thought it was.
As time goes on, Team YouTube ceases to surprise with their pompous, unapologetic, hypocritical attitude. In the direction we're heading now, it becomes clear with each passing terrible update, unfair strike, and sketchy termination that this website in the eyes of Team YouTube has nothing to do with creativity, independent creators, and especially you.
I could not agree more, my friends.
Oh my God!
That all of your wise words will go to waste if no one sees this. So let's all go ahead and forcefully drag everyone down with us, starting with the following people. Susan Wojcicki. Stop fucking lying to us every time you have to give a statement in response to videos like mine. All these broken promises you've made that never come into fruition, all of these incessant changes that no one ever asked for or wanted, take some goddamn accountability. We are so sick of seeing the malicious and deceitful words you and your company repeatedly propagate. Either do something good for this site once in your fruitless life, or step the fuck down. Philip DeFranco. Remember when you and your team ignored us last time during the whole Answer Us PedoTube thing because you were too busy talking about some stupid drama? I know I'm not as famous as you would like, but how about you do the right thing this time?
Okay, wait. So is the spooky, creepy voice talking now? Is this the Max guy? Is that who this is?
And fucking say something. I know you're on break, so it would mean even more to me for you to actually do something this time around. Ethan Klein. I was told you talked to someone at YouTube for me last time. Thank you so much for that. I know you're busy dealing with important shit, but I'm gonna ask that you take a minute to speak to YouTube again for me. Privately is fine. Publicly would be better. Follow me back if you want details. Keemstar. You are always my fucking man when it comes to this shit. As a loving father, I know you won't let me down. Scarce. Thanks so much for covering my story last time, brother. I desperately call upon you for help once again. It would mean the world to me. Charlie, I look up to you because you're a good man. You stand up for what's right and speak out in defense of all of us smaller than you. But it is my regret to inform you that your video talking with the CEO of YouTube has aged like milk. So I'm gonna kindly ask for your help once again. Chris Hansen. People kept telling me not to talk to you, but you were one of the first of us. And although you screwed the fucking pooch, I'm willing to forgive you if you speak up for us. I know you've got some connections that Susan can't ignore. I tried reaching out to you, but you ignored me. So now my audience will do it for me. Shane Dawson, I know you've done a lot of fucked up shit in the past and you don't really deserve everyone's forgiveness. But since you're one of the biggest creators in our genre, standing up for what's right instead of wasting time on haunted houses would finally make you look good to the public once again. This is your chance to redeem yourself. Don't squander it. Corpse.
Oh my god, dude.
I know you have nothing to do with this, but with all of your power, influence, and the favor you owe me, I just couldn't help myself. So, remember when you reached out after years of not speaking to me while I was at the hospital tending to my sick girlfriend, and you kept trying to rush me home to do you a huge favor, and then you threw me under the bus for something you did, and at the same time acted like you were taking full responsibility for it. But I let you do it because I thought you were gonna be my friend like you used to be, and then you stopped talking to me immediately after you were done using me. Yeah. So, how about you do me the fucking favor this time and talk about something besides yourself for once? It will give you a good look. I promise. Oh yes. If I have to start shit with every influencer in this goddamned planet just to make anyone give even a slight fuck, so be it. I'd rather have the whole world hate me than ever hear a child's voice being silenced again. If anyone wants to react to this video, my content is free for you to make as much money off of it in whatever way you wish. I do not give a shit. Bad press, good press. I just want to finally see some justice done for the victims in my videos. So, again, I'm gonna have to upset all of my fellow creators and make a goddamn disaster out of you, YouTube, because you never do anything until we start squeezing your balls. And this is the part where you come.
Was that the draw code?
Children. The links are in the description. I kindly ask you to come with me to make a fucking mess for the second time. I want you to pace this bitch until the world is nauseous from looking at it. I want you to drown out every trending topic so that even something like Spider-Man looks like a microscopic speck of dust compared to us. And tonight, YouTube will choose. Let die the pedophiles they love. Or suffer the
Shut the
little
fuck up,
children.
Luthen, alright? It's a stupid
And
fucking
by
meme.
the end of the night, I want Twitter to be a shitstorm.
Okay, this might be one of the most cringe videos I've ever seen in my entire life. Holy shit.
I've always been known for my bravery, and today will be no different. I'm gonna hit you with a hot take, so buckle your seatbelt, because I'm not pulling these punches, I'm not holding anything back. I'm gonna say what others are too afraid to say. Pedophilia is bad. Thank you, thank you. I know, hey, someone had to say it. Someone had to come in and put their foot down and say, enough is enough, you know? I'm no hero, but let me explain what prompted this courageous act for me today. A few days ago, a YouTuber named MamaMax posted a video called PickASideYouTube, and in the video he discusses a serious problem on the platform where creators that focus on darker subject matter are often censored, like MamaMax. This is actually a channel I've talked about before in the past. He's had his asshole stretched by YouTube, full goatee. He's had multiple videos taken down and striked for the most trivial of reasons. And it's mainly because the subject matter, because a lot of his content is investigations and exposing or talking about bad actors online, like a pedophile ring in a game or something like that. And in this video, he talks about that and how he feels like it's a serious problem. He brings in other content creators who have also experienced similar unfair enforcement of the rules against their content just because what they were talking about was darker. For example, bringing up Dan Schneider, the Nickelodeon guy who loved children's feet. He like ran that Twitter campaign of, hey kids, show me pictures of your feet. Haha. So when a content creator
Wait, did this really happen? What?
has brought up Dan Schneider in the past, they have experienced some problems where there'll be like a strike on the channel or the video gets blocked or taken down or something.
Wait, how long ago? How did I miss this? How long ago is this?
Feels really fucking weird where it's like, Jesus, does Dan Schneider have foot fetish assassins at YouTube HQ just flipping switches to take down content that calls it out? So the whole video that MamaMax posted basically focuses on this very real problem where when a creator investigates something dark or talks about something that's pretty grim, they're the ones most at risk, not the people they're really talking about. So by just bringing these topics to light, there's been multiple times where they have been the ones to receive a strike or have their content blocked. So obviously for a lot of people, they feel like YouTube just prefers to bury this kind of information instead of trying to help the people that are affected by the bad actors that get investigated. And YouTube instead just punishes the people for investigating it. And it feels very unfair. YouTube prefers to throw all this kind of content into a cum dumpster, light it on fire, and forget about it. Clearly a pretty dogshit solution, because if the content's getting taken down, less people know about it, which means more victims. So, a very serious problem. Now, this is where I get involved directly in this whole thing, because at the end of MamaMax's video, he wanted to make a shitstorm. He said he wanted to squeeze YouTube by their balls. He wanted to grab that goddamn nutsack and clap it together like he was fucking Hulk smashing it. So in order to put pressure on YouTube, his solution was to get a viral Twitter trend going. And the Twitter hashtag he chose was PickASideYouTube, and the two sides that YouTube has to pick from are either children or pedophiles. Whose side are you on? Good versus evil. The pretty wild ultimatum here. And you thought you had it rough when you had to decide between cereal or coffee for breakfast. Imagine YouTube's situation here. Do you choose the children or the pedophiles? And then he tags a lot of creators, hoping that they would talk about it and get traction there. At the end of his video, he also calls people out to talk about it. And I completely disagreed with this approach here. And I mentioned it briefly on stream, and I stream every single day, twitch.tv/moistcritical. Please feel free to stop in, put a few extra inches on your penis. I'd love to see you in there. I'll put the link in the description so it's nice and easy. I mentioned it on stream, and since then, I've been labeled a pedophile defender by some people on Twitter, or a YouTube shill by others. Which I couldn't fucking believe. I never thought there'd be a day where anyone in the goddamn world would think I stood up for pedophiles when I have an entire podcast of 270-something episodes, almost all of them dedicated to shitting on pedophiles. But
wait, really? And why? Wait, what? Wait, what is that? I think he means they just make jokes. Oh, like he just, like, they'll bring up jokes about shitting on pedophiles. That's gotta be what he means. Never mind, okay. That sounded really weird.
Anyway, I guess because
of course I'm against pedophiles. I have a podcast. We spent 270 episodes attacking pedophiles. Like, it's like, that's a little weird, but okay, all right.
I disagreed with this silly hashtag. All of a sudden, I got out Captain America's shield, and I'm putting the pedophiles behind me. Get behind me, boys. I got us covered. I'll take the hits here. But let me explain. I think the pick a side, children or pedophiles, is extremely goofy and distorts the actual message of his video. The message of his video is very much YouTube censors dark content. They unfairly treat people who investigate serious things. And as a direct result of this censorship, it leads to more kids being harmed, more victims, and these disgusting, evil, fucking stinky, yucky groups existing in the shadows because the content that has called them out and brought it to light has been taken down. So it does create more problems for more people, more victims. That's the point of his video. YouTube taking down this informative content and using every excuse imaginable to do it. Hey, we had to strike this entire video down because at 3 minutes and 7 seconds into the video, there's an animated character's butt cheek playfully poking out from their swimsuit. So the whole thing's coming down. You fucked up. Sorry, big guy. You know, it's like, what do you mean? This is a very trivial problem. It's a goddamn animated character. You could have just, like, told me to blur it and it would have been fine. The point is, by taking the videos down that are informing people of dangerous groups, it in turn creates more victims of those groups because they don't know about it anymore. And that's the problem that MamaMax's video was highlighting, and YouTube brushing it all under the rug. Because they want their reputation to be more squeaky clean. They don't want these kind of like bad actors brought to light on their platform because they think it might be a bad look for the platform.
Okay, everybody I think gets a little bit too conspiratorial when it's like, what is YouTube doing? Are they trying to protect people on the platform because they don't want people bringing attention to it? It's probably not that. My guess is they probably have a bunch of algorithms that automatically look through every keyword, or not every keyword actually, I'm sorry, not anymore. Now it's every single word in a video, and when enough words get like selected for, the video is automatically considered like not safe or whatever, and then it gets delisted. That's probably what's happening. And then, yeah, that's more likely what's happening. Like YouTube's like, we need to protect these people so that like, because that would be so much worse for YouTube is allowing these people to thrive, you know?
Platform, so they unfairly treat those creators. It's a real serious problem, and it's one I've actually talked about quite a bit in the past. In MamaMax's video, he brings up the interview I had with the YouTube CEO Susan. He mentions that it hasn't aged well, and admittedly he's right. A lot of the things I talked to with Susan and the policy team, they haven't come to fruition. They still haven't been implemented. They said they were aiming for 2021 to be a great year with all of these new features that would help creators, and a lot of them aren't there, almost none of them. But they have added a couple things, like now you have timestamps when you get a strike for, you know, what was the violation. So at the very least, they're adding a little bit. But yeah, it hasn't aged well. But what I did, and what I mentioned to them back then, is this problem. I even mentioned MamaMax by name and explained his situation to the YouTube policy team when I was on that phone call with Susan and the policy team. I highlighted this issue because it's an issue that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's a very serious one that needs to be addressed. This also comes into play with MamaMax's video, if you remember that controversy that happened where MamaMax had this huge video that got taken down, and it was taken down, if I remember correctly, because he showed a phone number for like 3 seconds on screen. Well, instead of taking that whole video down, why not just let MamaMax know, take this out and the video stays up? I'm sure he would have obliged using YouTube's editing tools. So I wanted to make sure that they heard that suggestion, and I thought MamaMax did a great job in his video until the end, where he turned it into a you're either with us or with the pedophiles type thing. Even though the message of his video isn't YouTube is protecting pedophiles, he's not saying YouTube is a sanctuary for pedophiles in his video, but his hashtag implies that. And I think it's counterproductive and doesn't really accomplish anything at all. It's a message, his video, I think almost everyone would agree with the message. But the hashtag, I feel like most people would find that silly and just write it off right away. Because it doesn't actually highlight the problem. It's just like this out of nowhere, hey YouTube, do you like kids or do you like pedophiles? The people that fuck those kids, huh? Do you like them? Or do you like the kids? You know, it doesn't do anything. Like there's no even like outrage that it generates. It's just like, what the fuck is this? Because if you watch the video, you have the entire situation laid out with the unfair treatment and censorship of content creators that are covering serious topics. And then you get to the end and it goes like full fucking V for Vendetta. Tonight there will be a shitstorm. I'm going to make YouTube choose the ultimate sacrifice. Where will they stand? With the kids or with those pedophiles? I like MamaMax, and I really like the majority of the video until it gets to the end, because that completely changes the perception of the issue. I imagine most people who don't know the situation and don't know MamaMax will see this and just be like, what the fuck is going on here? And assume it's like another one of those wake up YouTube situations, if you guys remember that from like a year or two ago. I forgot the dude's name. I think his name was like Matt something. Matt Wabblemaster, Matt Wumbo, whatever. I don't remember his name. But he started that whole Wake Up YouTube where he exposed that YouTube was enabling pedophiles and even recommending pedophile content to other pedophiles or whatever the fuck was going on then. And it started that whole adpocalypse. Most people remember that situation. And then they'll see this kind of trend going on. They'll just assume it's kind of the same thing and write it off immediately. Because when you see this Twitter hashtag and you see all the people talking about it, it paints YouTube as this sanctuary for pedophiles, like Jeffrey Epstein's island. It makes it seem like YouTube's protected pedophiles for long enough. Now it's time they choose the kids for once. When that's not the argument he's making. His argument is because YouTube keeps censoring the content where we're calling these kind of people out, it puts the kids in jeopardy. So the issue is more the YouTube censorship, taking down content that focuses on dark things. And that is the problem. Not that YouTube is choosing to cater to pedophiles or anything like that. So the message gets totally distorted, and it just creates a hostile environment where people fight each other, even though everyone's on the same side. It just causes all of this infighting, because when people point this out that, like, hey, this isn't the most effective Twitter trend to get the message across, they're immediately labeled pro-pedophilia. I've seen it non-stop from anyone that dares question the efficiency of this Twitter hashtag. They immediately get dogpiled by others, accusing them of defending pedophiles or picking YouTube's side, like, oh, so you've chosen where your allegiances lie now, and it's with those pedophiles, huh? Like, it's kind of disgusting, actually, to try and make, like, a war out of it when everyone in that battle is kind of on the same side. Everyone agrees with the message of the MamaMax video, but disagrees that it needs to be painted as a kids versus pedophiles issue, because that doesn't actually encapsulate the problem. So that's all I was saying, is that I think that was the worst possible approach to getting the issue highlighted.
I don't know, guys. Charlie's sounding a little pro-pedophile in this video.
For people that aren't already in the know about the situation. Because, again, that pick a side, children or pedophiles thing, I just didn't think that was the right play. If you wanted something that would actually, like, highlight what was going on, it should have been more focused on the core problem of YouTube censorship, especially when it could directly harm kids if you wanted to focus on that angle. YouTube censorship can harm kids by allowing these kind of fucking bad assholes out there, these dangerous people, to keep hurting them or doing awful shit. That's what I was saying. The hashtag does nothing to aid in solving the problem or even highlighting to the problem to people that don't already know about it. All it did was split people who were already on the same side and had them fighting amongst themselves for no reason and getting labeled terrible shit just because they thought the hashtag was ineffective at getting the problem out there. So I just don't think it accomplished anything. I really do think it was counterproductive. There would have been a better hashtag to use if that was the direction he thought was best, which was Twitter traction. And I agree that's usually a very good course of action since Team YouTube is very active on Twitter. But there should have been a better hashtag that actually highlighted the problem that YouTube could have potentially addressed and brought forward. Like, look, we can see there's an issue going on here, but they're not going to do that with pick a side, children or pedophiles, because they don't know what the issue is if they're just looking at that hashtag. They don't know what's going on. It doesn't do anything besides just confuse people and make people angry at each other, thinking that one side's defending pedophiles.
Holy shit, I feel like he said the same thing like 7 times. Could this video have been like 1.5 minutes long? Am I crazy?
And the others, whatever. Again, that's the point I was making. That's about it. So yeah.
Jesus. I mean, I agree, but